Welcome back to Quantum Conversations. My name is Sarah, and today my co-host Carrie Bennett and I are going to be making these complex topics of quantum biology and circadian biology understandable to the everyday person. Thank you so much for tuning in. We ask that if you are listening on audio only, that you take a moment to leave us up to a 5-star review. And if you're on YouTube, leave us a like, leave us a comment. It will help to get the show out to more people. And before we jump into today's topic, just a quick reminder to head down to the show notes and check out my free resources as well as Carrie's free resources. We also do have courses on a variety of topics. If you are hoping to dive deeper, Carrie and I both have practitioner courses available as well for anyone who wants to begin to bring these topics to their clients and help them to implement these strategies into their daily lives. So check those out. We also have a co-taught course called Quantum Fertility that is available that allows people and practitioners to work on their fertility using these principles of quantum biology and circadian biology. Again, thank you so much for listening or watching today's show, whichever one you are doing. And let's go ahead and jump into it now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Quantum Conversation. We always start these laughing because one day I'm going to surprise you, Carrie. I'm just going to hit record and we're going to have one of our bizarro conversations and we won't edit it and everyone will unsubscribe. I'll be like, wow, they're completely nuts, or that either that or we'll go viral. Who knows?
Well, yeah. I mean, part of it is just the fact that mom's busy, always something. It's like a little bit of commisery is always I think helpful.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes on behind the screen, really, I've been sharing more lately on my page about some of the crazy, like I put out a post today of just like how nutso the last 4 years has been. So I'm sharing a little bit more as I feel comfortable with that, because I think people need to know, like, because they think their life is so screwed up.
Well, right. I think social media is, it's the amplifier of the highlights, right? And life isn't always highlights.
It's not. And I never, it's crazy to me. People think I have it all put together and they're like,
right.
How do you do it all? How do you have it all? I'm like, I'm a complete mess sometimes, you guys. Like, I'm a complete disaster. I don't have it figured out. I will just be like, hey, what the hell is going on today? This year, this lifetime.
Did I bring in some karma? Is this karma?
What kind of contract did I sign? Like,
dear soul, can you give me a little more information?
Can we redo this? Like, can we rewrite, rescript And I do think it would just kind of maybe in an odd way can bring us into the conversation on water, the topic of water.
That's true. Sure.
An odd lead in here. Rein it in from talking about the insanity. But I do think we have a little bit of an influence on how our body responds in these situations, how our health responds in these situations.
Sure.
And I found that to be like empowering a little bit, when I understand water, when I understand like what my body's doing in response to the things that are happening, this lesson that I've signed up to learn,
Yeah. I mean, I think water is the ultimate bridge between maybe what's currently unknown and then our physical bodies. And so I agree with you, right? It's, and I think that people, I felt this, and I've seen it many times in my community, as people tend to the water in their bodies and to the water that they drink, they become more intuitive. They become more connected. They become, so I think there's something to be said too about how you can tune your water antenna as well, to maybe amplify certain frequencies and things like that. So, but today, actually, what we were going to talk about that we alluded to the last episode was just like your drinking water, right? Like we had a lot of questions about drinking water.
A lot. Yeah.
Structured water and what do you do? So I think we're just going to go back to basics with that too.
Yeah, I think so. And I have pulled up some of my crystallography to show people
Oh, good.
some of the simplicity of structuring water, because again, it's a business. You talked about Analima, you talked about Natural Action Technologies and the Wellness Enterprise. And these are companies that you and I both endorse.
We resonate with their stuff.
Products, recommend their products. But at a certain level, it's a gateway to what you can already do without a tool. I've got these blue bottles. I love you can't even see it. I don't think you can see it very well.
Yeah, absolutely. What is that? Is that the Seed of Life? What is it? What's on there?
Can you see?
Oh, yeah. Very cool. So I am. Yeah. Love.
I can't.
Yeah. Okay.
I am in the center. It says love, light, truth, harmony, wisdom, vitality. So why would you want to drink out of this?
Yeah. Right.
What's it going to hurt?
It's not. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so fast. So do you know what? Let me, if anyone wants to nerd out, let me just put it this way. I found a brand new independent water researcher that put 3 really fascinating articles together, like really comprehensive review articles together on ResearchGate. His name is Craig Ramsey. Craig, if you're listening, I love what you're putting out there because he's basically taken and summarized decades of research on the water that's structured in our bodies and the many capacities that it has. Structured water for drinking and for plants. He was originally a plant scientist, PhD, and then like going all the way towards my favorite stuff, which is like water and consciousness, right? So, and
wow,
yeah, I know. I'm gonna reach out to him. I think
I'm actually going to put that at the top of my to-do list in my notes folder of 945 notes. I literally have that many. Craig Ramsey, you say?
Go to ResearchGate and go Craig Ramsey water, and he's got like fairly recent, like pretty recent 3 articles that he's written, and I love it because like when you find someone who you didn't know existed but has literally done the same research you have, and you're like yes, right? It's like okay, I'm not crazy. Someone else interpreted
the same way.
Exactly. Yes. So
lovely.
But anyways, so I think what this whole conversation needs to go to is the fact that the biggest, I think, confusion people have, number one, before we go to the water that you drink is when we refer to structured water, there's technically 2 different categories that we're referring to, right?
Yes.
So the water is liquid in a glass. So yes, you can create structure. Oh, this is empty.
Oh no.
I'll transfer some of my lemon water into it. You can create structure in a liquid water. There can be structure here, but then there's also structured water inside of our bodies that we could call biologically structured water, or exclusion zone water would be or easy water, right? The 2 most common things I think that we would refer to it as. We'll call it liquid crystalline water. And so we need to kind of break down both of those because to optimize the body through the lens of hydration, you got to tend to both things. You can't just tend to one or the other.
Agree. Yeah, it's both, because anytime I do a post on social media, people are like, well, what do you drink? What do I need to drink? What minerals do I buy? What equipment do I buy? And I'm like, that's not, yes, there's some stuff you can get. I don't want anyone breaking the bank. And that's part of this conversation we're going to have, is to empower people to understand you don't have to break the bank in order to optimize what you're drinking.
Yes.
But it starts on the ability of the mitochondria to make water, which we do at step 4. And then the ability of the body to hold that water, because, one of the reasons I keep on having my red light panel on inside this room is because we're having like a cold snap. I know you're not going to sympathize because I'm in Georgia. Okay. It was like 20 degrees this morning for morning sunrise when I ate
20 degrees.
Sorry.
All good.
Fahrenheit for anybody. So that would be below 0 Celsius. Okay. For all of our Celsius people. But it's cold right now. So my window is not cracked open like it typically would be. And I've got some infrared here in the office to offset some of and my iris, I was showing this to my, my group members, my private coaching group. I was showing them how to use iris, and my iris is at 1430 Kelvin, and they like lost their mind on me. They were like, how can you,
that's
see any? They were like, how can you see anything with that? To me, that's like not that bad.
Well,
like,
yeah, my Twilight app, it goes based on Kelvin. Mine's at 1,000 Kelvin on my Twilight app. I mean,
yeah, mine's at
you get used to it, right?
You just get used to it. Yeah, your eyes just. And then if I take it off, if I pause it, it goes to 6,500 Kelvin, and I'm like, I'm blind. I'm literally blind. You know? Yeah, and my phone is always
totally
red as well. You know, so there's a lot of stuff I do because I understand that blue light coming through the eye, it actually can shut down water production. It can damage that process of making water.
Eyes and skin, believe it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. And so and non-native EMF as well. Like this is a hardwired laptop. Like I've got, I try to have my cosmic tower harmonizing. Yeah, I try to do other things I can to cut. Yes, I've got my indigo somewhere around here on my, I might have actually taken it up.
And did you hear about Robert Gilbert?
I did. He passed away last week. What happened?
Rest in peace. Yeah, I don't know the details, but rest in peace because he was a brilliant soul, brilliant human.
Yeah. So. He was the head of the Vesica Institute, which is where Carrie and I both get our indigo Gabra. But yeah, you want the non-native EMF also dehydrates the body on a cellular level. This is Dr. Gerald Pollack's work, takes that exclusion zone water, which is what you're talking about, is basically the structured water within the body, down 15 to 20%.
It just doesn't even allow it to form in the first place appropriately, right? And without added input. And so that's exactly, yeah. So the bottom line is, I'm summarizing the science from Sarah. I love this. The bottom line is that our modern living is dehydrating, right? That's the bottom line. And unbeknownst to us, the lighting we're receiving and the non-native EMFs we're receiving is just dehydrating of our cells, and it's harming our mitochondria's ability to make the water in the first place.
Right.
Did I summarize that well? Right?
Yeah. Yes. That's why like flying in an airplane is so dehydrating. Driving in a car too. If you have your up.
Yeah.
Now I have a freaking EMF machine. I don't drive very often. I don't care. Like people are like, what kind of car do you have? I'm like, I have the worst one possible, probably. I don't have a Tesla. It's not
you have a Cybertruck?
No.
Okay.
I have a Chevy Tahoe. I bought that when I was pregnant, and it's got everything. You know, I didn't turn the Wi-Fi on. I had them not turn the Wi-Fi on and OnStar. I don't turn that on. So I did what I could, but I mean, let's be real.
Well, you know what? It's not just the modern ones, because I've taken EMF meters to like really old engines, and their magnetic fields are garbage too. So it's a car by car basis. You can't say that an old car is always better than a new one. But definitely, the
sunroof is always open in my car.
The Wi-Fi is no. I would not do Wi-Fi.
I did not turn the Wi-Fi on in that car. Yeah. My husband got a car and it just came with Wi-Fi. He couldn't even turn it off because he got a new car this year. And so it's like these things dehydrate us. And so my husband, now I've taught him all this. He rides with his sunroof open all year round. Like we all do it.
It is mine. I'm so proud of them. It's like,
and open your sunroof and
you step outside when you wake up in the morning. Cause I typically wake up before.
And I was, you know, have my blanket out there eating my breakfast. He came out. I was like, I see you.
I see you. I acknowledge you. But it is cool when like your habits that you think are helpful are rubbing off on other people.
Yeah. He likes the stuff, you know, he does all the weird biohacking stuff now too. He does the infrared sauna. He loves my bio
red light.
He does red light every day. He breathes the hydrogen gas. He drinks the hydrogen water. So all those things help to build exclusion zone water.
Yep.
The biomat is what I have. I don't have a code or link or anything for that. And it was my little present to myself for Christmas. Beyond my spectrometer, I also wanted something I could actually enjoy. It's like, not just
what'd you get yourself for Christmas?
A spectrometer. The hell is that? No, I did buy myself a biomat, and it's far infrared and amethyst. And so that The far infrared is what Dr. Gerald Pollack showed, again, can expand that exclusion zone water.
Mid far infrared. Yeah. It's so
3,000 and above, right?
31. Well, here's the way to look at it, right? The peak absorption is 3,100 nanometers, which is right at that mid to far infrared cutoff right there, but water or light in the infrared spectrum, any higher than about 1,000 to 1,100 nanometers, we don't have chromophores for that in the body. So like, for example, cytochrome C oxidase in the mitochondria has chromophores or light capturing sensors for wavelengths. But those are like, we're talking in the 800 nanometer range. Whereas once you get above 1,000, 1,100 water, you just see this nice progression of it basically being absorbed by water, which is exclusion zone water inside of our bodies.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay. So bottom line is we're in dehydrating environments.
Yes.
And sometimes correct me if I'm wrong on this, what you see, but the typical profile that I see is people are in high non-native EMF environments and under artificial blue light, not blocking it, not engaging with natural circadian rhythms.
And they're not moving.
Oftentimes doing things that impair mitochondrial function, right? So maybe toxin exposures they're unaware of, those sorts of things. And then they are guzzling down, liters of, not liters of coffee, hopefully, but they're guzzling down things that are essentially diuretics. And then they're also trying to catch up by consuming a ton of reverse osmosis water. But they say, I'm just peeing it out, right? I'm just peeing it out, peeing it out, peeing it out. And so right there, that literally is setting the stage for this cellular dehydration. And believe it or not, all of the research is pointing to that as we age, one of the primary factors of aging is a loss of this biologically structured water inside of the cells because of all the properties that it has. It's energy. It's an antenna for information that can get conveyed to the DNA, to the mitochondria, right? There's so much importance to maintaining that biologically structured water, that exclusion zone water inside of the cell, that when we lose it, you can then it's even a redox molecule, meaning it can literally donate electrons and protons to calm inflammation, however and wherever it's needed. So it's understandable how the loss of that can lead to aging. And so this is why we're saying, like, most people are in a dehydrating environment that leads to aging and mitochondrial dysfunction and oxidative stress without even knowing it. And the typical water is not going to help the situation.
It's not. Like, that's why we have all of our crazy water. It doesn't have to be ridiculously complicated, though. That's the thing. I recommend first, if you live near one, finding a spring, is findaspring.org. But you also want to test that water.
Yeah.
I had a person in my private community who tested the pH of the spring water was a 4. I was like, nope, don't drink that.
That's a no.
Do not drink the pH of
that. Was tainted with acid rain or something. Who knows, right?
Like, don't drink that. So test it. There are some decent springs. And I have a couple of community members that they test their water. They get it from the spring and they're great. And they don't even need to do a ton of mineral supplementation because that's all that they're drinking.
Right.
I had one this morning. She's like, I don't really feel a huge difference when I add minerals or not, but I'm collecting my own spring water and that's all I drink. I'm like, well, you probably don't need to spend the extra money on the minerals, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Your diet with nutrient dense, sunlight, grounding.
Yes.
Mitigate non-native EMF, do the basics, but I wouldn't stress about buying really expensive minerals at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I want to talk more about that when we do talk about remineralizing water, because I do consider that to be forage good quality stuff if you can. I consider that to be step 2, where step 1 is filter it.
Filter.
Right?
You still do want to filter.
You want to. I mean, I think it's very common knowledge these days that unfortunately tap water is just rife with substances that do not serve human biology and can actually create toxicity to the mitochondria and to the cells. So step 1 is filter. And there's a lot of confusion with filters. Number 1, do the best you can. Any filtering is better than no filtering. So if it is a Brita pitcher, you've done better than if you just drank the tap water, right?
Water.
Okay. Yeah. But if you want to get what would be considered a clean slate with water, to kind of wipe out everything, you would distill it or you would reverse osmosis it. Those are two ways to really clear out everything in the water so that you're starting with really pure water. But everyone's like, oh, great, pure water. I'm going to drink pure water. But the downside of pure water is it actually, does not mimic spring water. And when you put it through those processes, you lose structure. So you lose the minerals and the structure that you'd be getting from natural spring water. And so people who, like I was saying, you'd say, well, it used to be Nalgene bottles. Remember Nalgene bottles?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about those. Yes.
Like I used to have people all the time being like, well, I drink like 4 of these Nalgenes a day. And it's like, but it's reverse osmosis water and you're peeing every 30 minutes. And that's what's happening, right? You're not absorbing the water that you are drinking. So why wouldn't our body absorb
to basagically help that water get into the cell, right?
Well, into the blood, right? So so again, minerals from water are not a main source of minerals. Like you're not going to replete your minerals, right? If you are mineral deficient, you're not going to replete it by putting a couple of drops of trace minerals into your filtered water.
Enough.
But minerals, especially when they're in their ionic form, which means that they're kind of separated and they have a charge to them, that mimics the minerals in the blood. And so the body then is more likely to want to absorb the water that contains the minerals. And think about it too, like the blood volume, our blood, the body keeps a very tight window of what it wants in the blood, which is why you and I are like, yeah, it's interesting to test blood markers. You can find some interesting patterns over time. But in actuality, that's the last place something is going to show up.
Agree. 100% agree. And just to talk about minerals a little bit more, because it's a thing in my group. It's a constant question. Is minerals. And I'm like, look, y'all, you ultimately want to get your minerals from your diet, from your food. You want to make sure you're not drinking plain distilled or plain reverse osmosis water.
Right.
That's key, because that can wash away what you do have. And then, like you said, it's not going to help to increase your blood volume. It's not going to positively impact hydration in the way that you want it to, just to keep it simple.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just think people freak out too much about the mineral thing. I think it's important, but
right. Okay. Exactly.
Have a nutrient dense diet.
100%. That is way more. Food. 100% that's where you're going to get way more of your minerals from, is your food.
Yeah.
But you do need to, and I'm talking like in a glass of water like this, that let's say I fill it up to like the 300 milliliter mark, which is about, 10 ounces or what would it be? 12 ounces or so. Right. Then if I had an ocean, I would add an ocean-based mineral to it, or there are land-based minerals like a fulvic ionic mineral. But I'm talking like 2 or 3 drops.
Right. Exactly.
In this entire glass.
Exactly.
And there's nuance that some people do need more because they've got low blood pressure, POTS, dysautonomia, things like that. But in general, like that's all you need. It's enough minerals to provide the water with some charge to it. Right. So the bloodstream will pull it in. The reason why the blood won't pull in just pure water a ton, like the distilled or the reverse osmosis, is because you don't want to dilute it, right? Like, so once the blood volume is good and without adding additional minerals to it, the body's just like, oh no, we're going to flush it to the kidneys. We're just going to push it right to the kidneys and flush it out. And so really remineralizing the water can make a big difference between your body wanting to pull the water in and you actually feel hydrated and versus your body just flushing it out and you're peeing every 20 minutes.
Right. And we do, so this water, what I'll do, and I know I've talked about this before, is every morning I'll fill up probably a 2-gallon glass container. I don't know why I blank on the name of this container every time.
A carboy, right? It's like you get it from like the brewing supply companies, like the beer supply.
It's a special company.
I just get the glass generic one.
Geometric shapes. It's really pretty.
Like not a live water, is it?
It might be live water.
Maybe. Yeah. They've got some really nice big ones.
2-gallon.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
2-gallon live water. It's got these beautiful like geometric shapes around it. Supposedly that will also structure the water, add a little element to it. But I'll take the spring aqua water, which is our essentially reverse osmosis, and it has a remineralization system.
And a vortexing, which we can talk about.
Yeah,
structuring. Yeah,
so it already
structuring.
structures it. And then I will just take a bottle of Quinton hypertonic. It's 2 gallons of water, and I'll just be like, blip, 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 blip. Okay, cool. You know,
but you technically don't need to.
I don't need to, because it's got the mineralization already.
But you've done enough playing around with the, almost like that. When you start to go through this, you start to taste water. Like they're different. It's like different, almost like I would imagine like a sommelier with different wines, right?
Like, yeah. And my family complains too. My husband now complains.
He likes the minerals.
And I put like 2 or 3 drops in a whole 2 gallons. So it's barely anything of Dr. Dean's magnesium, her Remag. And if I don't put that in there, he complains.
Well, I can tell when I'm craving it, because I want that, because that magnesium chloride, that's the magnesium in Dr. Dean's stuff. Mm-hmm. That is like, it can be a potent flavor.
Very potent.
But when all of a sudden I'll be like, let me just add, like, I'll like take the cap and I'll fill it up to like halfway. Mm-hmm. So I'll actually really concentrate it, and I'll sip on the water. And like, if my body needs it, I'm like,
yeah, that's another good way to tell. And I know everyone wants a formula and a protocol, but that's when Dr. Sarah was staying here. We did all these water experiments, and she would make water and I would drink her water. I'm like, oh God, that's terrible. That's terrible. And then she would drink my water and think it was terrible. And so like our bodies definitely had different needs. My family, we all drink from that 2 gallon. And then I put the Axiom rod in there, diffuse it with the hydrogen. And that's what we all drink all day long. We send, the hydrogen water bottle to my daughter's school. We put it in my son's little cups, with sometimes a little splash of juice in there, because he loves his juice, but it's mostly hydrogen mineralized water with a little juice. I'm okay with that. Oh, and that's what we all drink, and some days I'm more thirsty than others. Like, and I'm like, why am I more? I was sitting all day. I didn't get outside. It's freezing cold outside. Like I had to work on the computer. Those are the days when I'm like really thirsty.
Totally.
So there's not I drink 2 of these every, no, I don't know. I know how to be intuitive at this point with it.
And I also start my day out with hydration, right? I really have a hydration forward protocol. But like the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, and this is not a protocol. This is not something you have to follow perfectly. I want to hear what yours is, because it's likely going to look different than mine. Yeah. But I will wake up and I'll fill up like this tiny little measuring cup with glass measuring cup with like a little splash of Quinton isotonic. Let's say 20 milliliters or so. Yeah. Hold that in my mouth, hydrate my blood volume, wait a couple minutes while I'm like filling up, some hydrogen, like a little bit of hydrogen rich water, drink that down. I'm talking like, let's say maybe 6 ounces or so. Wait a little while. I do use Beam Minerals. I love my Beam Minerals. So I'll mix up a little blend of Electrolyze and Micro Boost. Take that, and then I'll finish that. And once I've had those things, I'll be taking my structured water and heating it on the stove. And in the winter, I pour a huge glass of hot water and squeeze lemon in it. Like, to me, there's nothing more hydrating in the winter in Michigan than hot water with lemon. Sometimes I'll also add a little bit of salt into it as well, depending on what my cravings are. And that is how I start the day, hydrated. Like, that's my key right there. And that takes me maybe to consume it all, maybe 20 minutes, but I feel like I've started my day out very, very well. I will do some hydrogen water throughout the day, like you're talking about, but from there, once I know I've started my day hydrated, then I can go based on, let me fill up a glass like this, or let me fill up a Blue Bottle Love or a Flasca, and then let me just fill it up and just have it on my desk. And then I can just sip on it, and I'll just pull it as my body needs it. And I don't measure it. And sometimes at the end of the day, it's like, oh gosh, I should have gone upstairs and filled that up one more time, and I do end up thinking like, okay, I'm going to need a little bit more water now, but like, you just learn to adjust. It's not a death sentence, right? You just learn to adjust and adapt. And then the other thing about going based on taste for minerals, it can work really well. I have many clients who will go, some of them will add 2 whole droppers of this to this glass. Some will add 2 drops. And again, like you said, it's like they will, if it's a water that you want to drink, trust me, that is a water that your body is asking for whatever's inside of it. I've seen it time and time again.
Yep, definitely. I agree. I totally agree. Again, it's not a protocol. It's like, does your body, how do you respond to this? If you're getting loose stools or you're having frequent urination, something's usually, and the only thing you change was the minerals. It's usually
too many minerals.
It's too much. Your body's trying to get rid of it. We want to talk a little bit about why we both use more red light therapy in the winter really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Come summer, it is so easy for me to pop outside for 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, take the clothes off and just soak up the natural light, right? And I know you do. I know you do the same. And it's beautiful because we're getting all of those red and near infrared wavelengths from the sun and imparting all those healing benefits from sunlight. But come, November, December in Michigan, there's very little opportunity for me to do that. It's just too cold, and so I'll go outside and get my light signaling through my eyes, but my skin really, that infrared and red that I want to absorb through my skin is just lacking. And so that's why I would highly recommend, if you live in an environment like that, you consider using a red light therapy panel in the winter. It can be the biggest game changer.
Yeah. And we both love the Boncharge Mini. This is super convenient. You can take it with you traveling. You guys don't know, when I'm recording the podcast, half the time I have it on my low back or somewhere in my body to mitigate some of this blue light. And for the months of November and December, you can use the code QuantumPod25 for November and December only to get 25% off the panel or anything on the Boncharge website. Carrie and I are both big fans.
Yeah. And one more thing really quickly with that. It's a great gift too, right? If you want to start getting people involved in this lifestyle and say it's the most convenient way, if there's a mom that who needs to tend to boo-boos and aches and pains for kids, or earaches, tummy aches, sore throats, it's a phenomenal gift to give as well, because it really can wipe away pain very fast.
I love it. All right, check it out. Link is in the show notes.
Too many minerals, the body typically flushes through loose stools. Sometimes through the urine, you'll get for people who notice, maybe all of a sudden it's like, well, gosh, now all of a sudden when I sneeze, I'm urinating a little bit or something. So there can be some incontinence that happens with it. Or if you've gone from a really mineral rich one that you really liked and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this many minerals. And you go to more of let me just put one drop in, and you're drinking it and you're flushing. Maybe that's flushing through the kidneys because you need more minerals. So listen to your body. What do you think would be ideal in terms of urinating? I would say, when I'm consuming water appropriately, I can go 2 hours, no problem, without the urge to urinate.
Yeah, easily. Oh yeah. I think you should be able to, honestly. It shouldn't be when I used to drink a gallon of water a day from the plastic jug from the tap. Oh my God.
I've been there. I know.
I thought I was doing the right thing.
I know. And you lived to tell about it, Sarah. So it's okay, right?
So that's the thing. You can completely mess yourself up and you're not beyond repair. You're not. I've done some stupid ass things, real dumb. I was told you're basically going into menopause at age 40. And I was like, incorrect. And was able to go on to have a healthy baby after being told that. So you can reverse things. It's not a death sentence. But yeah, I was drinking that water and I was peeing every half hour. I feel like.
Yeah. Easily.
I was teaching yoga at the time, and I remember it would be hard for me to get through teaching a full class without having to pee. I would put people in Shavasana and then run out of the room.
Gotta go.
Run out of the room to go pee. Okay, relax in the bathroom. And then, I had hit my water goal, So
yeah.
Because that's what happens when you follow a protocol for a general protocol that has nothing to do with you, what you need, or understanding what proper hydration is from the inside out. That's what can happen.
Get back into your body. Symptoms are symptoms, and let's say incontinence or frequent urination, or these are your body's way of speaking to you. right? There's very few ways that the body can talk to you. So you got to kind of just start to connect the dots and be like, okay, I'm peeing a ton right now.
Yeah.
Let me try adding a couple more minerals to my water and see.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that's what this is. I say we are records on repeat, but like you are your own health journey, and you've got to start interpreting that language and understanding maybe what your body might be asking for. And if you do ask for help or you listen to podcasts to pick up tips, it's not to find a protocol. It's to say, oh, maybe my body's telling me that. Maybe I'll try this and see. Yeah. And then you learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah. You could just try. And if it doesn't work, then okay, let's course correct. Let's do something else. I think what happens a lot is that people think they do something and now they've just messed themselves up for years on end. And the body is not dumb that way. You can support yourself and it doesn't have to be super complicated. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So next step, I think, in water would be structuring the water that we drink, which confuses the heck out of people.
So confusing.
And I'm going to start this by saying there is no one way to structure water, right? Let me just list a handful of things. You can use vortexing, a wand, crystals, intention, copper, sunlight, moonlight, torsion field generators,
red light.
Right. There's so what we mean by structured water is literally what you're doing. So water molecules, let me nerd out for a second. Water molecules can connect to other water molecules via a bond called a hydrogen bond. And so there's and those bonds are typically pretty weak in liquid water. And so, and they can change, they're dynamic. And so water then can receive an energetic input. Let's say you're going to stir your analemma wand into your water, or you're going to put it on top of or put a tensor ring around it, right? Or put it through a vortex. What you're doing is you're giving information to the water. And the water will then change how it interacts with other water molecules. It'll change its hydrogen bonding to form geometric clusters, little structures, like microstructures, or like little hangout sessions with water molecules. And that holds the information in the form of kind of like a geometric frequency. And it also then can hold energy as well, because energy and information are synonymous, right? When we talk about things at this quantum scale. And so that's what we're talking about with structuring the water. And so then if you look at it as like, okay, well, what are things that we can ask about this? Well, you can say, how long does that structure stay imprinted into the water? You know, you can say how much, are there means of assessing how much energetic quality it gives to the water? Sure. There's ways to assess it. But again, you have to kind of pick a modality of assessment and stick with it. So I know you and I have done crystallography, so I'm excited to see your images. I've also can measure energetic qualities via my, a couple of my pendulums, right? Which is, sure, people judge me, but to assess kind of what energy is now in that water. Like I can sort that out. And again, go to the Vesica Institute if you want to learn that stuff. But yeah, so I think that there's ways that you can assess it. If I had a gas discharge visualization camera, a GDV camera, or a Kirlian photography one, like people like Dr. Konstantin Korotkov have, you could literally see your water and see the plasma discharge around it before you structure it and after you structure it. So that's another means of assessing the stuff. If you have a means of assessing your body's energy field, right? So some people can sense chakras. Some people can sense through muscle testing if their bodies become stronger or weaker. I, again, can do it through neutral pendulum testing to assess these things. You can figure out, okay, well, so when I drink this water, what kind of an impact is it having on my body? And then you can also look at the impact over time. It's like, do I feel more energy? Do I feel more alert? Do I feel more flexible, more hydrated, more hydrated in general? Like those are all ways that you can assess how the structure of the quality of the water you're drinking is affecting you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the question of like, how long does the water stay structured? Are you putting it around a lot of non-native EMFs? Are you putting it in blue light? Are you screaming at are you like having a disagreement with your partner in front of you?
Are you watching a violent movie while you're
like what's happening to that water where it is? Like if I'm going to structure water, I'll typically drink it right away. And I am more mindful now of how I talk around my water. I'll seal it, put the cap on and seal it up. If it's got to be sitting out upstairs, around kids screaming
or just give it another help, like a little help.
Yeah.
Helpful.
Just a little swirl, a little prayer, a little blessing.
No joke, even without an analemma wand, although I do love analemma, but even if you just literally stir your water, that movement has been shown to improve the structure. And then if you move the water in a vortex, that's implosion. It's a gathering of energy, like a concentrating of energy. And that's where you then can put happy thoughts or feelings or, into the water. But again, like you said, who knows how long structure is lasting? Now, there are some companies like Analemma that I think are showing that their means of structuring is long lasting. It can withstand things like electromagnetic fields. I think MEA, right, putting it in the refrigerator, traveling with it. I think the MEA company also shows that you can put a really permanent negative charge and good quality structure into it. But these companies are going to extra lengths at testing and showing you this, so in terms of intuit, like putting a little, heart love into the water, a little emotion into the water, intention into the water, your guess is as good as mine. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like we don't really know, because we're not measuring this all the time. Like I have these little intention cards from, Lila Q. They're these little brass cards, or not brass, but they're little metal cards. I keep them beside my bed at night, and I'll literally put this guy on top of the intention card and, just keep this beside my bed sealed up at night. And then that's the first thing. I'll just drink that when I wake up. Then I have my Quinton when I go downstairs. But, I think intention is a lot of it as well.
Sure.
I've told the story so many times, and I'll show some of my crystallography, but when Sarah and I were doing all this crystallography, when I was actually taking the photos of it, we couldn't get anything in my house to be unstructured.
Yeah.
And we're like, is it the cosmic tower doing it? Is it my biofield doing it? Is it her biofield? Like we don't know. Like we don't know. The only way I could get anything to be unstructured and have a blank pattern, or like just a weird looking, like
kind of amorphous.
Was
like a grid almost.
I would put the petri dish on top of my cell phone plugged into the wall for 5 minutes, and then I had to like shove it in the freezer as quickly as possible,
right away.
Because again, you can revitalize that water. It's not dead, it's not hopeless.
No. So the cool thing about Veda's work, right? And if people haven't checked out Veda Austin's work, please do, right? She's literally finding this beautiful language that water is speaking to us. Water is always this neutral observer, but water is seeking coherence, meaning water can get, the structure of the water, the quality of the water can get polluted or disturbed. But if you give that water something that it can resonate with, that it recognizes will help to restore its harmony, its coherence, it will go to that. It will raise back to that. So, and that's the same thing for the water in our bodies. I think people need to realize that what we're talking about in the water that we drink is the same as the water in our bodies. It's like we're looking to reach that level of coherence and harmonization in the body. And you just got to provide your body with the correct things or the right inputs that resonate with your body to help it do that. So want to show some crystallography?
Yeah. Let me pull this up. All right. I'm not sure. I think I remember this is my Spring Aqua system. Can you see that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's very similar to mine with like little ferns, and I have a lot of ferns and hexagons with mine for sure.
Yeah.
And so
out of the Spring Aqua.
What Veda will sometimes do also is and she's got, I think now, like repeatable hydroglyphs or little drawings in water. Basically, like the water will form little images. I mean, I think she has over 50 at least now that have been repeated. And so, okay, cool. So
this is homeopathy that I actually put into the water. That's chamomilla. Now, let me see if I hope I'm not going to show y'all any like Let's see what happens here. Okay, there we go. That's a photo of belladonna.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice that the similarity between that crystallography and the actual belladonna plant? Like, I feel like that's so cool.
Did you show that to Veda at all?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, but you could totally see that.
You can see it. That's the plant up there on the top. And then you can actually, when I pulled up a picture of it on the internet, that's what it looks like.
Yep.
And that's from just dropping the homeopathy into the water. Well, this is the chamomilla. Same thing. This was the bottom image. Again, just dropped it in the water like 5 minutes. And then here it is on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like literally
little tiny. Yeah. It looks
every
different.
bit of homeopathy I did would have a similar pattern in the water afterwards. It was wild. Let me see if this is just, this was interesting. Quinton versus trace. Like this was a quinton structure, hypertonic.
Oh, interesting.
And this was a trace mineral structure. So I got rid of my trace minerals after this because I didn't really like them in the beginning. But then I saw this like vast difference between the two.
The other one looks so from my experience, anytime you see ferns and hexagons in the water, it indicates water that is energized, structured, really vital, right? It has its vitality. And so the one with the trace minerals did not look anywhere near as vital as that one.
This, I just set the water on the cosmic tower, like on it.
Yeah.
This one, I set it inside of the Lila Q cube.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, there's some ferns in there for sure on the Lila Q. Yeah, and that one.
And then the cell phone, it wasn't completely dead, but yeah, you can see it's a circle, so you can see they kind of overlap.
Yeah, it was definitely.
The original water was a spring aqua, and then that's what the cell phone do it.
Yeah, so if you see the spring water originally that's full of it, you can see how that's really starting to.
There's a trace of it. Yeah. But these are just, I mean, let's see if I can find any more of these.
And we're not going to give Veda's technique. You can learn it through her. This is her proprietary technique.
Yeah. This is just my personal blessing. And then I stirred it with analemma, and I started with a spring aqua. So it's got all kinds of like butterflies and I don't know. It's cool looking. It's pretty. I see a little butterfly.
Yeah, I do. I see a butterfly. I was going to say I almost see like a dragonfly in there. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, a dragonfly. But I just did like a little prayer over the water, and then I stirred it with the analemma wand, and I started with the spring aqua. So yeah, those are just some. I don't want to show any weird stuff from my phone.
We won't scroll down any further.
Like, what else is in here? Yeah, but it was bizarre because I just really couldn't get anything to be here we go. Let me share this one. The distilled water. I took distilled water and then I put it onto the Lila Q. Here we go. And so that's what I got. The distilled water turned into this after I put it onto the Lila Q. And then
it's interesting because the Lila Q is, correct me if I'm wrong, do you have is it like the rectangular box?
Yeah, it's the box, and I just put it inside. I have I have a little one.
Can you kind of see also the more rigid lines in it? Like it's acknowledging that it's, interesting.
Yeah, the Lila Q people are like, oh, you can structure water with this. But intuitively, I've kind of just been like, no, I don't really want to use this to structure my water. And then this is the distilled water that I put on top of my cell phone for 5 minutes. It did this basically.
Yeah, there's nothing.
It killed everything. And then it left like little knives. I don't know what those are.
Daggers.
Yeah. So Veda, you can buy her technique. It's like $30 and we want to support her work. Go support Veda's work because she has really brought this to everyone to make it repeatable. I've had clients and community members who have this. It's fun. You buy the Petri dishes and it's a fun thing to do with your kids.
Yep.
Daughter did some. I haven't pulled those up, but I've talked about this before. She
had an immediate relationship with water.
Immediate. And I'm like, I don't know what she's doing here. But then she spelled beach. And then it was, when we pulled it out, it was like clearly ocean waves and like a sunset. photo. I was like,
very cool.
Wow, you did that on your first try, you know?
Yeah, sure.
So it's a fun thing to do. Kids, I feel like probably would do better with this than adults because they don't overthink it and they can still have the magic of like, you know,
curiosity and right brain as opposed to left brain and analytical. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So ways that you can just think about water, right? Like it doesn't have to be so rigid. It can be different on different days, depending on needs. You can go based on taste. And like you said, different family members might have different tastes for their water, or like you and Dr. Sarah had different tastes for your water. And that's okay, right? So there's no perfect way. There's no perfect glass of water.
Right.
I would not want to put toxins into my body with the water, and my body resonates with minerals and structure. And so I encourage people to experiment with those sorts of things. But then again, like you were showing, there's not one perfect way to structure the water either.
Right.
Do you want to use your intention? Do you want to use a cosmic tower? Do you want to use an analemma wand? Do you want to just stir it? Do you want to use copper? I mean, like, so crystals. I got a fabulous community member who really is digging into all of Dr. Gilbert's crystals and its ability to imprint and structure water. So it's like there's so many options out there, which is why people feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
Pick what resonates with you.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I hope it leads you to where it's led me, which is a little bit of gratitude prior to drinking. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And then sunlight structures instantaneously, like quickly.
It does. But let me give a caveat to that, because that OH bond in water. So water is an O on the top and two H's. There's a bond between each O and the O and each H. Sunlight that's heavy in the infrared will expand that bond. And it can actually make water almost appear lazy in its structure, but it's not late. But picture how you feel on the beach. Right? Like you just feel chill. And I think that's reflected in the water. So it does provide structure, but it may look differently if you take it outside and then flash freeze it with crystallography versus if you put it in the cold in the moonlight, which can actually make those hydrogen bonds a little bit more, or those would be the covalent bonds, but the other bonding a little more rigid. And so it's just fascinating to see that water is an independent observer of what's in the environment. And it can convey that through how it organizes its geometry at the tiny, tiny microscopic molecular scale, if we were to be able to amplify that, but also as above, so below, it can reflect it in things like the water crystallography that Veda is teaching.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I want people to take from this is that it doesn't have to be super complicated. You can buy all the things, but you don't necessarily need to. I mean, you can even make Soleil water.
That's where I started.
Yeah, that's what I did initially with Soleil water. I don't think there's a need for a lot of electrolyte powders. I typically don't like those at all.
Same.
And find them to not be helpful for adding minerals back into the body, unless someone's like sweating buckets, they're an athlete. Yeah. But most people aren't and don't need to be drinking those packets, and I don't think they're good for you. So don't overcomplicate it. And I don't think anyone needs to go buy. You can go buy stuff. I've always wanted to get a Mayu swirl. I still haven't gotten one of those because I just think
I have one.
I think they look cool, but I'm also worried my kids would try to make it into a toy of some sort and break it.
Ours did break. Whatever.
And I'm like, do I buy this, or is it going to be too tempting for the children to break it? Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And let everyone know there always will be another water structuring device that's coming out there. So if you feel compelled to try something and it's financially feasible for you, please do. But don't feel like there's always going to be like shiny ball syndrome of it's bigger, it's better, I need it because that's going to be the it one. It's like, no. There are so many ways you can structure your water. So it doesn't always have to be searching for that next, bigger, better thing.
Exactly. And I think maybe we cut to another episode to talk about hydrogen if we even want to. I feel like that's just icing. Yeah. It's not the basics. I feel like the basics are filtering minerals and structure that everyone can do. Hydrogen is like next level. If you want to do it, and it does require either having tablets or a device of some sort. And then you do have to practice discretion with the devices because some of them are going to be more harmful to the water than good. So maybe that's a different conversation where we talk about pH and negative charge, ORP.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think this one's a good place to leave it. And if we want to, we can dive into, but also go back and listen to our conversation that we had with
Dr. Tyler.
Yeah. Tyler LeBaron.
I would, let's leave that.
Because he's a neutral, he's not selling anything. He's a neutral hydrogen researcher. And so go back, we really break down all the myths and the different delivery methods and what you can do and what the clinical studies are showing in terms of how much dosage, frequency, so I would say that'd be a great place to go from here once you get the basics down.
Yeah. And we both have the Axiom. We both like that machine. I've got a Holy Hydrating too. I did have to revitalize and rescue the one that I was letting my mother use.
Come on, Mom. Yeah.
I mean, I still use that for drinking water. I don't use it for inhalation because it's just not the bang for the buck that I'll get with the Axiom.
Right.
But it's a great water to drink.
And it does dissolve hydrogen in a way that you don't have to drink it right away. Right. So it's another great option for that.
In the glass. I've measured 6 hours. It'll stay.
Yep.
Axiom, it'll stay 24 hours.
Overnight for sure. Yeah.
The Holy Hydrogen is like 6 hours. So,
which is very good. Very good.
Because with the bottles, which I don't like for various reasons of like them leaching heavy metals and being crappy and then not even working after a period of time, you have to drink those right away. Because I've
not measured enough bottles yet to know.
I bought the Echo because a lot of people were asking me about that one. And it did make good hydrogen. I don't know about the leaching of heavy metals into the water, but it made water.
So it made therapeutic values that you have to drink pretty quickly is what I'm hearing.
You have to drink it quickly.
I want you to make some and then freeze it. I want to see what the structure's like.
Okay.
After you put it through something like,
Yeah. I will do that. And I'll have to it's been sitting in my cabinet. So I don't know if it wears down over time. I don't know. I've heard that it stops making good hydrogen after a little bit of time. I don't know, but I've got the little tester. So
yeah, cool. I'd be curious.
Yeah. All right.
Text me.
My husband, what are you doing now?
Don't worry about it. Just
don't ask. It's fine. You got your special brew. Don't worry about this one.
You got enough magnesium. You can chill.
You're good. You got your drops. All right. Well, I guess we will see everybody next week. I hope this episode was helpful and informative.